The story begins with a young girl named Nora. She was hiking high in the jagged mountains with her father. Her dad saw the world through a very different lens than most people. He believed we only see the truth when we look with our hearts. He told Nora that these peaks were not just piles of rock. He whispered that ancient trolls still lived in the shadows of the deep canyons. He told her a legend about 13 trolls at a royal wedding. They drank so much they forgot the time. When the sun rose, the light froze them into solid stone forever. Back then, Nora thought these were just tall tales for children. All she saw were gray rocks and cold snow. But her father urged her to look past the surface. For 1 second, she saw a giant face carved into the cliff. Trolls looked human, but they were the size of skyscrapers. They were peaceful unless someone disturbed their ancient sleep. Years passed, and the little girl grew into a brilliant professor. Nora was now leading a massive archaeological dig. Her team had been working for 6 months with no luck. The site supervisor wanted to pack up and go home. Nora refused to give up on her instincts. Her father taught her to believe in herself above all else. She ignored the doubters and kept digging into the dirt. Suddenly, her shovel hit something massive and solid. Far away in the Norwegian mountains, a different kind of digging started. Workers were using heavy explosives to blast a new tunnel. They wanted to build a modern train station inside the peak. The final explosion was much bigger than they expected. As the smoke cleared, the workers heard a deep, rhythmic thud. Something massive was moving toward them in the dark. The men screamed and ran for their lives. The military quickly called a high-level meeting for national security. Nora received a special invitation to join the war room. She met Andreas, the top advisor to the prime minister. They watched grainy footage of giant footprints in the mud. The generals thought it was a storm or a sinkhole. Nora looked at the prints and knew the truth immediately. No one took her seriously until a new video arrived. It showed a mountain literally standing up and walking. The entire room fell into a terrified silence. That same evening, an elderly couple sat down for tea. Their dog began barking at the dark forest outside. Suddenly, the cups on the table started to dance. The ground shook with the force of an earthquake. They scrambled into their underground storm cellar just in time. Outside, their entire farmhouse was crushed like a toy. The government sent Nora and Andreas to survey the ruins. On the drive, Andreas asked about Nora's mysterious father. She explained that her mother died a long time ago. Her father lived alone because the world called him crazy. Andreas admitted he once dreamed of being a famous writer. When they reached the ruins, a captain met them. He said something crossed the river toward the peaks. They followed the tracks for miles until they vanished. An old woman said she heard a giant crying nearby. Nora wondered how a mountain-sized creature could simply disappear. She knew only one person who could solve this mystery. She took the team to see her father in his cabin. The house was a shrine to old myths and maps. Her father claimed the government hid the truth for decades. He said they destroyed evidence of trolls to keep people calm. Nora told him that the mountains were finally waking up. Her dad explained that trolls were once the kings of Earth. Humans hunted them down and punished anyone who helped them. The government had locked him in a hospital to silence him. He led the group back to where the tracks vanished. The soldiers whispered that the old man was totally insane. Even Nora started to doubt her father's wild stories. Then, the air suddenly turned cold and smelled of sulfur. The clouds darkened as a massive shadow fell over them. Nora looked up and saw a golden eye the size of a door. A living troll stood right in front of them. The captain retreated and brought the footage to camp. Even with video proof, the leaders were still skeptical. They kicked Nora's father out for talking about magic. The prime minister demanded a swift military strike. Nora begged for time to study the ancient creature. The generals ignored her and prepared for total war. The military tracked the troll to a narrow valley. Nora's father apologized for being a distant parent. He felt bad for leaving her alone with his obsessions. Nora took his hand and said he was here now. The troll appeared and sniffed the air with caution. The commander gave the order to open fire immediately. Bullets bounced off the troll's skin like tiny pebbles. The creature roared in pain and began to fight back. It crushed tanks and scattered the soldiers like leaves. Nora and her father hid behind a jagged rock. A soldier near them began to pray out loud. The troll immediately turned toward the sound of his voice. Her father realized trolls can smell the blood of Christians. He stepped out and shouted for the troll to stop. The creature paused and looked into the old man's eyes. It seemed to recognize a friend and started to calm down. Suddenly, a hidden sniper fired another shot at the beast. The troll lost control and swung its massive arm. The blow struck Nora's father and threw him back. The creature looked sad before it retreated into the woods. Nora cradled her father as he took his last breath. He whispered the words royal palace and home. Nora wept as the only person who believed her died. The next day, the government planned a massive airstrike. Nora searched through her father's old research papers. She found a note saying trolls hated the sound of bells. This was why they always attacked old village churches. She convinced the captain to try one last peaceful plan. plan. They rigged up a series of powerful church bells. The ringing sound was like physical torture for the troll. It covered its ears and began to smash the towers. During the chaos, a small child fell in the street. The troll paused and gently moved the child to safety. Nora saw the kindness inside the supposed monster. The plan failed to stop the beast's forward march. The government kicked Nora off the mission in frustration. They prepared to use nuclear missiles on their own city. Andreas drove Nora away as the sirens began to wail. She kept thinking about her father's final words. She realized the royal palace was built on a dark secret. They rushed to the palace and found the chief minister. He admitted the palace sat on an ancient burial ground. Hundreds of years ago, a human king killed the troll king. He built his home on the ruins of the troll's castle. They killed every troll except for one small baby. That baby grew up in the dark, lonely mountains. After 1,000 years, it just wanted to go home. The minister showed them a hidden cave of bones. Nora shined a flashlight on the skeletons in the dark. They turned to stone instantly when the light hit them. She realized that intense UV light was their only weakness. She called the captain to set a trap in a field. They set up a circle of massive solar lamps. Nora and Andreas stole a small troll skull from the cave. They put it in the car to lure the beast. The military was seconds away from firing the missiles. Andreas had a friend hack the system to stop the launch. The troll saw the skull and began to chase the car. During the high-speed hunt, the skull tumbled onto the road. The giant picked it up and let out a heartbreaking cry. It was grieving for its lost family and its people. Nora felt a deep pain for the lonely creature. The troll turned toward them with eyes full of rage. It followed them directly into the center of the trap. The captain flipped the switch on the solar arrays. Back at base, the generals tried to override the hack. They launched the missiles anyway, but the commander aborted them. Under the burning lights, the troll screamed in agony. Its skin began to crack and turn into gray rock. Nora realized they were murdering a piece of nature. She turned off the lights and told the troll to run. She begged it to hide in the deep shadows again. The troll looked at her with understanding and peace, but the sun began to peek over the horizon. The natural sunlight hit the creature with full force. It turned into a massive stone statue in the field. Nora cried because she could not save the last king. Later, the prime minister admitted the old man was right. Andreas quit his job to write the story down. Nora looked at the mountains and felt a new mystery. She knew the world was still full of hidden wonders. True wisdom is seeing the world with your heart, not just your eyes. Please like this video, leave a comment about your favorite legend, and subscribe for more amazing stories.